Hello, everyone. Welcome to the I Need Somebody to Talk to podcast, brought to you by the Brown Table. And I am Tim Brown, your host. And I wanted to do this podcast because at times I need somebody to talk to. So this will be somewhat therapy, but also I wanted to bring on people who are special, who are close to me, to talk about various things, and also to share their story, their journey in life, and hopefully it is inspiring to all of you because we all go through something, we all go through trials, we all go through tribulations. And plus, we all have different belief systems, different ways of thinking, different ways of understanding things. And I just wanted to provide an opportunity for people to share their stories, share their journeys, even if it doesn't line up with my belief system or what I follow, what I believe. But I think what we can find in common through everyone is just the human condition, and just some commonalities of people wanting to be loved, wanting to be free, wanting to have choices and make and having the right to make decisions that impact their lives and others' lives. So who better to talk to today than my oldest son, Mr. Elijah Matthew Timothy Brown's full name. Maybe I
The
should,
Lord
hey,
is in the house.
yeah, hey, I didn't get hey, at least I didn't give your social, So
Yeah.
so I wanted to bring him on because all my kids are special to me. I want to say that. All my kids are special to me. But I wanted to bring him on because I think his story is awesome, and from where he's come from to where he is today. So definitely I want him to provide some insights about his journey, and also I want him to publicize his businesses. So son, so tell me, first thing I want to talk about is Pimpin' Chkn, because I remember our conversations initially. Hey, Dad, I'm going to sell chicken sandwiches. And I'm like, okay, son. Yeah. So what's your plan? How are you going to do that? And I'm sure when he told others in the family they was selling chicken sandwiches, that like, what? What are you doing? Da, da, da. So in my mind, I may have been thinking, what are you doing? But still, I don't ever want to uh you know try and like wipe out somebody's dream or be negative or whatever. I want to hear your idea. So tell me about that, and what are you going to do, and what do you know? It's grown into something which has led to his other business, Loftspace, 12 Loftspace, or Loftspace 12. Forgive me, son, if I didn't get that right, so I'll leave that up to you
It's
to promote it.
L12
Yeah, it's
Loftspace.
L12. Thank you. It's L12. Thank you. Yeah, and I follow him on IG as well. So, but yeah, but son, so tell me, give me the story from the beginning as far as Pimpin' Chkn. How did it start? Where did it come from? What was your inspiration, and where are you at today with it?
Sweet. Well, thank you for having me on the show as your first guest. It's an honor being a part of this in your journey as well, and ultimately being your son. So about Pimpin' Chkn. PimpinChkn started in 2020, right? And so everybody got laid off. I was pretty much like one of the main people that got laid off at my job. I was a production foods supervisor, and so um, would manage the whole team. It was like a startup business, and then 20 the pandemic hit, just boom, bye, see you later. So I took a couple of weeks off. Like I got the unemployment and stimulus like really early on in the year. So everything started to kick in around March, and did some traveling right before the shutdown. And came back and was wasn't sure where the world was going to go. Um, I'm sure, like all of us had that mind thought of what was going to happen. So I just took it upon myself to figure out a way. Um, and it was just something that was starting to be fun. Like it necessarily was something that like necessarily was like, oh, like I want to start like a like franchise and da 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 da. It just ultimately started with me wanting to stand on the corner and sell some chicken for some extra cash. And I called up my dad and we're thinking about the whole, ways of doing things. And I ultimately, with my background, I knew that I could, turn profit into something, and then ultimately provide a product that was a like better source, especially within my community here in East Oakland. There wasn't much of quality of food, or there still really isn't. There's just a bunch of like Popeyes and McDonald's and taqueries and so on and so forth. And so I was just like, well, shoot, like let me just start here on like the corner, and was thinking about some names. And it was funny because like I called my like dad up here and I was like, yeah, like, we're thinking of names, da da da. And he was like, wait, like you're on the corner, like it's selling chicken, like you might as well be like pimping it or something.
I know, right? I was like, yeah, you're pimping chicken, man.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, oh snap. Like there it is. Um and ultimately, as wrong as that sounds, it became something that's more than the actual verb. It became something more of an adjective. So, and in our culture and the relation with that word pimpin', it just had like a huge stamp on the community to where everybody would just gravitate towards it. All types of people. So, and here we are, like just one step at a time, just me being outside on the corner. It evolved into something better. And, just with all the shutdowns, businesses not being able to operate, a lot of time on people's hands, bars in specific had to serve food in order for people to attend their bars. So I was one of the first pop-ups at some local bars that would help them drive business, and it was like a win-win situation. So me doing pop-ups at local bars and certain events, um, minor catering, and from then on, I just was like, shoot, like this is actually working. I'm starting to see profit. Like I'm starting to contract people in, make like some money, also like a lot of brand awareness, since the name itself was like building on its own. So and to where that we started becoming like an exclusive brand where people were just reaching out to us trying to get us to pop up. And I'm not the one that just say yes to everything. So I was just like no to a lot of things, because just strategically, it just didn't make any sense for me to, spend gas and so on and so forth. And And initially, like, I didn't want to, like, put myself in debt.
Yeah.
And, and I saw what other, like, businesses were doing and the amount of overhead that they were putting on themselves with, like, a food truck and, trailers and a wide range of things, which a lot of investors have approached me to, like, go into business with them. I'm just like, oh, it's just not the right thing for me. And a revelation hit, right? And so it was crazy because I got asked to do, like, a really big event. I'm talking like a half million people, and this particular event was the it was crazy because, like, I told God, like, I spoke to God, and I said, um, if this doesn't work out, I'm quitting. Like, I'm not gonna do it anymore because
Wow.
it was a lot of work,
Yeah.
prepping food, loading up the vans, the cleanup, just maintaining, the all of the equipment in hand. I invested a lot of my own money
Right.
into the business, and so there wasn't necessarily like any, like, I want to say, like, turn coming in to where that it was completely like sustainable with me doing so much, so many pop-ups.
Right.
And then this event was supposed to be the, like, turning point of,
Right.
the flip of the coin, like, shit, like, this, like, we're gonna prep as much as we can to
Mhm.
capacity, hired a full team throughout the entire week in preparation for this. And we were supposed to turn profit of, like, 50 to like $70,000. And so I reached out to, I did a lot of crowdfunding for this event, even raised money to donate to, like, certain organizations, made a huge campaign around it, and we raised up to like $35,000.
Wow, that's a
And
lot. That's great, man.
yeah, so, just working with, like, the certain people and all that stuff, and something in my mind told me to not invest the money that I raised, invest the money that I have. So I invested all the money that I had into this thing, and we profited $500.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I remember that
No,
phone
well,
I remember that
no, no,
phone
no, no, no.
call.
It wasn't even profit. No, no,
I
no,
I
no, no, no.
that
Like,
was just revenue. That was revenue.
that was revenue.
That was revenue.
Like, seriously, $500 for the entire week. I seriously budgeted everything out, put everything that I had to make sure that my staff was paid for, everything, like, everybody was like paid for prior. The only, like, an immense loss. And it was insane because the experience of it and what happened was unbelievable. It was, seriously, get there the first day, no one was there. The second day, I didn't even have a spot. They mixed my company up with another chicken company. So that company took over my actual space, and they didn't have the space for me to even park it up.
Oh,
So
man.
what I adjusted to was to sell outside of the quarters, event after event. They closed the actual entrance. Someone got into a car crash. A lady was hit by a car right in front of the booth. Like
Oh
they
my
blocked out.
gosh.
They blocked the entire section from for where they were to investigate the scene. Then on top of that, someone yells "shooter," and the whole entire area just dispersed.
This is the worst. This is the worst story ever. Like, oh man. Oh dude, that's awful.
And and everybody's like, "How are you doing? Like
Yeah.
how are you so calm?" And I'm just like, I guess it's a no. Like I was just like, well, God clearly showed me that this is not something that I'm supposed to do. Specifically of the pop-ups and the
Wow.
going everywhere and doing festivals and all that stuff. And it was a recollection time because I've spent all of my money. The $35,000 I returned to investors and still donated $15,000 to the organizations.
Wow.
And so it was just like, wow, like I'm completely at zero. Um, no
So
funds in my pocket.
so
And
where what was your state of mind? Where was your mind at? Where was your heart at? Really walk us through the emotions of really really going through what could be considered, I hate to say this, but it sounds like an epic fail. Something you had complete expectations, you had high hopes, and then boom, it was the polar opposite. So, what was your state of mind? What were your thoughts? How did you feel? And then what did it take to overcome that adversity that you went through in this experience?
so at that time, you know, like I came, I just remember coming back to the like space and ultimately I kind of set myself up for
Okay.
failure by like preparation of just in case things don't go well, you know.
So you had a
Not saying
contingency
that
plan. You had a
yeah, yeah,
contingency.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the actual loft space, right?
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
the loft space was a established um business running itself. And so I started that a year after I started PimpinChkn. And Alameda County would allow young chefs like me to operate out of their living spaces in order to sell food and so on and so forth. And so that was kind of like my back burner, just in case things didn't really necessarily happen. PimpinChkn itself, um, just with that whole thing, just made me really evaluate what it needs to be.
Mhm.
And I slept for a week. Like I probably was just like, I mean, like I was depressed.
You were
Like I was really
depressed. You were in
depressed.
depression.
I
Yeah.
was very depressive mode, and ooh, like just had like a cloud over me. I mean, I didn't really express that cloud, but definitely it was there. And just was very angry. I was really angry
Hey man, be
because
honest,
I
man. Be
did I
transparent.
yeah I did so much for that community, and the community like that felt like it didn't really care about me in that moment. And
Yeah.
so, and I didn't want to bash anybody. I didn't want to necessarily like shame anyone. And so at some point, like it's just like you got to chuck it up. And I'm like, that's business, you know. Um, like separating my personal feelings from the actual business aspect of that is what it is.
Mhm.
Things happen to where that your business is it took an a huge loss.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so
Yeah.
it was something that I learned um to ultimately like structure my business just without like just quitting. Even though I told God that I'm gonna quit, like I think it was a testing point of like, oh yeah, like are you really gonna quit? Like are you really like how driven are you to keep this going when just stripped away all your hard work, all the things that you created, all the things that you prepped for, the entire team that you formed. Like, let's see, I think it was a test. Like, like I called him out, and he was like, "Oh shit, oh, okay, brother. Like, what's up then?" And something in me didn't want to quit. Like I was like, you know what? Like even though this happens, it's a clear sign that I won't be doing pop-ups again. Like I won't be like doing all these extra things. There's other opportunities for me to make money with less work. And so that's what I've dedicated my business going towards. And it's
So,
been a
son,
huge
let's
success then.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back, but I'm gonna ask my son, how did he alter his business model, and basically how has that process or that changed impacted his business. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to I Need Somebody to Talk to, presented by the Brown Table. And yes, I'm here with my son, Elijah Brown, owner of PimpinChkn and L12. And we were talking about really just the major adversity he faced in his business and how it really, and I asked him, how did it shift his business model? So basically, he was at this event, invested a lot of money into it, only made $500 in revenue. He's like, God, is this really what you want me to do? So Elijah, pick up from where you left off. So you had you really, you only have $500 in revenue. You had all of this invested into the situation. So it things shifted. So how did you shift? What did you shift? How did you adjust your business model? And how has that impacted your business? So please share.
Yeah, so um a lot of research, tons of looking at different avenues of where I could take my business. And um there was just a lot of um just like a lot of negative things that I found with just like trying to, invest into a food truck, getting investors to help me do all that. Since my business took a huge loss, my business foundation and my books looked terrible, right?
I'm sure.
So where that,
Yeah.
people who wanted to invest was let me we'll think about you. But and ultimately no. So it just made me rethink on like what are the things that I can actually do just to keep operating and like start everything, right? And
Mhm.
Alameda and some other counties in California started passed a new law that same year, and it was called the Micro Enterprise Home Kitchen Operations, and which allowed chefs to operate right out of their homes and sell food. And so, since I had this second business called L12 Loftspace, which is open to the public to do dinners and birthday parties and a wide range of events and productions, I just converted that space into my micro enterprise home kitchen operation. Uh,
Okay.
to
All
where
right.
the downstairs would be the so where that the downstairs would be the event space and the upstairs would be the lounge and living quarters, right? And so we're in this space now. So we're in the upstairs living quarters. There's a couch and a pull-out bed and so on and so forth, along with a flat screen TV, karaoke machine, sound system, and the entire downstairs area. So this
Mhm.
allowed me to restructure everything with little to no cost of just getting my space perm- permitted for the Mako permit and start selling food and offering catering to the events that were coming in. So a lot of the clients that I've had, everybody needs food at everybody's parties, so just incorporating those along with charging a like rental fee and so on and so forth, so it just builds back. It necessarily like helped me realize that I already have something in the works, and it's all about just utilizing what I have already without having to do extra things. And so this was the proven model. Um, a lot of you know corporations would use my space for their holiday parties, would cater those parties, so on and so forth. So a lot of more revenue going back into my actual pocket, necessarily me having to do an extensive overhead, hiring a whole team, and so on and so forth. So that's where my business is necessarily heading. And so what I've come to realization is that a lot of people don't know what a micro enterprise home kitchen operation is. And so educating people about that, and now I'm forming a platform for younger chefs to help themselves by using the same model as me. And so my business PimpinChkn has collaborated with tons of younger chefs by doing supper clubs and certain pop-ups and vendor pop-ups as well. So my space has incorporated young businesses to operate inside the space, um, generating revenue for them, and ultimately a partnership with the actual space. So the space has become like a very well-known um, community hub of just artists alone, chefs, and entrepreneurs. And it was just like God was like, dude, like you already have something, bro. Like you don't need to do the extra. Like focus on everything that you have created so far and fine tune those things. And so that's what the message that I received past all the depression and the oversleeping and not eating part, right?
Hey, it's bad when you're like, "Hey, son, you all right?" Because you could tell you lost like 20, 30 pounds. I'm like, are you okay, bud? Are you all right? And things are well when you're a little bit hefty, a little bit chunky. So
Yeah, yeah.
things are
Which definitely, you take a look at me now, and you're like, oh, bro, like you're eating a little bit too much now, bro. Like you need
yeah,
to
yeah,
cut
yeah.
back a little bit,
Yeah, I'm like, man, you're a big boy. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man. Hey, I do want to say this, son. One of the things that I've learned from you is and hanging out with you. So I try and come back home, folks. I try to come back home to California at least 4 or 5 times a year. That's been decreased a little bit because I have my grandson with me now, but I love hanging out with my kids. And one thing about hanging out with Elijah, we'll go to like these events or he'll have something going on. And one thing that really inspired me is that Elijah's not afraid to talk to anybody. He's not afraid to network. He's not afraid to promote his business. That's one of the things that I could learn or I could utilize or apply to my stuff, everything that I have going on. He's not bashful about promoting and saying this is what I do. Here's my number, here's my card. Let's collaborate. Let's do things together. So, son, real quickly, talk about the importance of networking, connecting with people, and then two, giving back to the community because you're heavily community involved. So talk about those things.
Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't where I was today, like I was bashful at like a certain and especially in the beginning of the stages of my career of not necessarily trusting myself and my ability. There was a lot of doubt that I had just with creating my product and wanting people to like really enjoy ultimately my main goal was for people to enjoy my food. And like there was a lot of sticks in the road on the way to that, where people didn't enjoy it, or like people had like certain comments like are just revolving around my name and my brand, um to where that it just I just set those feelings aside, just like, dude, like there's a point in time where, and like I still face that, here and there, but it's my inner self, like having to promote. It's like I have to tell people what I am and who I am and what I'm doing, because if I don't, then I'm not ever gonna grow, So it's like I have to do the work. And when like I started thinking of that as like this is all business. There's nothing personal about it. Like I have to set myself aside. Like my personal ego, my personal doubt, like has to be completely separated from my actual business life, because my business has to grow. I have to eat. Like, I have to feed my children. Like, I have to have something that's like a possible generational, like, wealth building tool. And so,
Eating is
ever
important.
since,
Eating is important.
yeah, like, I mean, obviously,
And having a roof over your head, that's important too.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, I have to have a roof. Like, I have to pay the bills. And so, after when that it just clicked in, and a lot, I'm very thankful because the universe has pulled the people to me with like a little bit of effort. And it's like, it started with just, me in the loft, and people just starting to book the space, and I'm telling them all the things, like on like a one-on-one basis. So every client that I had, I would practice on them, be like, hey, I'm also doing this, I'm doing this party, bring out your friends, and da 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 da. Like, it started very, very small, to where now, like, at networking events, I could go up to like people that I know are of status, and like build a rapport, necessarily not asking for money, but just a relationship building tool of like, hey, like, I'm a very curious person too. Like, I want to know what that per person does. So it's necessarily like not me talking about myself. I'm always talking about them, like, or trying to figure out what they're doing, and then be like, you know what, like, that's dope. I'm also doing something similar, to where that we can both collaborate, and I can help you out. And they're like, oh, and then that opens up a door to them trying to figure out what I actually do. I'm just like, oh yeah, I own PimpinChkn, da 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 da, like that, blah 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 blah. Necessarily to where that now a relationship is formed, and just it's always it's always good to just have the initial practice first, and then which led me to, I could, be in the room and talk to strangers, and then uh, going into huge conferences, and at least meeting like 30 to like 40 people, just based on uh, the the openness of learning, right? um, so yeah.
All
Did I
right,
answer
awesome.
both of your
No,
questions?
you answered both of my questions. I'm sorry. I was trying to put my mic off of mute here. Sorry for the pause.
No, you're good.
No, you totally answered. We'll talk about the community. That's the other part. You're very heavily promoting the community, really Black-owned businesses, creating alliances. Why is this so important to give back? And to give you guys some background, my son lives in Oakland, California. So it has its issues. Definitely a homeless issue, definitely unemployment issue, definitely a lot of Oakland, there are great parts of Oakland, but on East Oakland, it's definitely impoverished and definitely has high rates of crime and things like that. But there are people who are working together, really trying to improve the community, make it better, and talk about that work that you've done in Oakland to partner with small Black-owned business, small Black-owned entrepreneurs, and really creating that network to where everyone can really prosper and grow.
Yeah, so like, we've done things to where that the space is just free, like, to where that, I'm just like, hey, like, if you want to come in and do your thing, like, don't even worry about the like rental fee, like, just allow me to cook, and we both could, promote it ourselves and do all the work. So a lot of like donations of space, has definitely been like a huge factor of just like growing the community to where that we've had like over like 150 plus black owned businesses specifically operate out of this space. Um, and then just knowing where to organize. That is the main thing of like trying to find other organizations or nonprofits that you would allow into, that I would allow in like to my space and start working with them and just really like team building and community building by reaching out to those nonprofits, having my business be a what is it, um have being a product of those nonprofits. So I would sign up and be have my business go through the incubator program, or so on and so forth, like to where that we're like community building and then incorporating my roster with their roster. So yeah, to where that it's led me to now be in like a fellowship in certain non-profit groups and be more geared towards change than like staying the same. And so, which ultimately, what I'm working on now is like purchasing property, like residential property, and do like plexes and um, taking my model like of the micro enterprise home business operation and incorporating it into food desert communities. So to where that younger chefs can eventually move into those properties, not have to worry about the overhead of starting a restaurant or renting out a commercial kitchen, which is really insane
Super
amount of
expensive.
money.
Yeah, it's super
It's
expensive.
extremely expensive, and also have to worry about paying rent there and also paying rent wherever you're living, and so, to where that we're moving very strategically into areas that need the actual like sources that, the micro enterprise home kitchen operation are is definitely in like higher demand, right? And so, and then yeah, just incorporating and partnering with a lot of nonprofits to organize that, and definitely have some investors on that as well. So yeah, the community itself just really started by me just offering free space and take it and realizing that it's not all about profit, right? And because ultimately now, like my business, I could, I've done, I want to say like 15 to like 20 free events for non-profit organizations.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know. I didn't know that. Wow. That's a lot, man.
Yeah. So to where that eventually, like, just like once I had the mindset of like just giving in general, like not necessarily like thinking about receiving money, uh, the abundance has
The doors
just
opened.
smacked me.
Doors
Yeah,
have opened up. Yeah.
tons of doors open
Tons of doors open.
because like like I go to certain like network events where there's like CEOs of like hedge fund and huge investors, and they already know about my business, just by me like, oh, you're PimpinChkn. Oh, snap! Like that, like to where that we went to like a free like networking event, and like half of the people in there knew who I was without me like have like I had no clue.
That's
I'm just
Pimpin'
showing up.
Chicken, man. That's
Yeah, like,
Pimpin'
and I'm just like, oh, you like know I was like, yeah, like, like,
Chicken.
like,
Yeah,
oh,
baby
you work
Pimpin'.
with like you gave space for this, which evolved, allowed my company to evolve into this,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
and so yeah, like just being like for me it was just I wanted to be a stepping stone
Mm,
for people that was extremely affordable and giving back to the community because like I mean my like prices on the space have decreased to where that I just know how to because what I have is something that the community needs, and so I'm just like, well, I'm not trying to charge bukus for it, so in my mindset, like the numbers, the more that I can help people, the more the community will be better off for sure.
right, right.
Um,
Hey man, we could talk forever, so I want to be cognizant of time. So tell us about L12. What is the loft space? Explain that business, explain that business model, and how did that originate? And then, what is it today? And where would you like it
so
to
L,
go? What would you like it to be? So yeah, share your ambitions too.
Yeah, so L12 Loftspace was an addition to PimpinChkn. It started out as an arbitrage venture. So just renting out space to the public and making a profit to cover rent and so on and so forth. And then after like the first couple of months, I was just like, shit, man, like this needs to be a hub because a lot of like my friends, all their studios shut down during the pandemic. A lot of people were moving out of their apartments, and a lot of the venues were closing. So a lot of people, my loft space became like high demand for private gatherings because it's like a private space. So we're booked at the wazoo, man. Like just starting it out, and I was just like, wow. Like our first event was like a rave party, which was freaking amazing. Like
Ah!
yeah. Like we had like crazy mushroom like statues and like faux plants everywhere and like a huge DJ with an immense sound system. So it was really freaking dope to experience that. And that was the first and last rave that we've done. uh and so then right after that, I was just like, well, shit, man, like there's still enough days out of the week that, this could be like a space for production. So I invested into um production equipment and rented out to like filmmakers and young upcoming artists and so they can shoot their music videos and young models to create their portfolios. And this is all happening like during the pandemic. So people weren't, a lot of things were shut down because all these bigger spaces had like tons of studios and there was a lot of people coming in and out. While my space, L12 Loft, included area within like East Oakland. And in East Oakland, there's nothing like this happening. Like, so I picked the right like business during like an economic shutdown. So to where that and I was just like, okay, like I'm making money. Um, how could I necessarily give back? And our first project was Fill the Wall project. It was during July, so we were doing or in like June of 2021, and to where that we would allow artists free space to sell their artwork,
Oh,
and
awesome.
to where that and that was just like a huge success because it was during Juneteenth month and so on and so forth. And we incorporated a lot of like dinners and a full Juneteenth week where we like just donated the space for free. Um, a lot of like black businesses occupied the space throughout the week, selling art. And we didn't take a profit out of anything. We were just this is strictly for the community. And then that's how we jumped into like donating space and so on and so forth. Right now, it's been like the busiest it's ever been. Just booked out just throughout the entire week, all month, really. People are bidding on certain days now, um, to where that I'm just like, wow, like people are really loving this space because, it's not only um the space itself, but it's also the actual service. Like I think like everybody that leaves here feels like they've experienced like a piece of home, especially within their community, because everybody in this community, every mama, baby mama, all that stuff, like definitely been in like side of this space, and to where that the community really expects it. Honestly, yeah, it like yeah, it's definitely grown into something that's major. For expansion, yeah, I would definitely keep it in East Oakland specifically. That's that's my goal. And have a bigger space for people to operate and come and so on. And that vision is a loft or it wouldn't even be a loft anymore, but it would just be called Space Two. And so it's just a warehouse space that includes a restaurant and an event space for specific like East Oakland community, because we don't have stuff like that out here. We always have to travel to West Oakland or San Francisco and Berkeley to experience like that type of luxury. And so having a bigger space would open up a lot more opportunity for everyone to take advantage of. And my biggest motto for corporations and people in general is support a black business in black communities within the black community, because it's all cool and dandy of wanting black communities to travel out, but why not go into a black community to support black biz businesses itself? Um, so, and just with the gentrification that's happening too, like just black ownership has never been a more priority than ever. Um,
Yeah, I don't know
because
if this
there is a lot of change.
is
Oh
that
yeah,
is this yours?
yeah, that is mine.
Thanks for leaving
Yeah,
it here.
actually, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a nice hoodie. I'm like, oh, I'll wear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah,
up.
I actually have another one, so you can keep that one if you
Oh,
want.
thank you.
Love it.
Thank you, son.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right. So, real quickly, one, I just want to say this. I'm so proud of you, proud of what you've been doing and what you've been accomplishing. It takes a lot of cojones. Any entrepreneur where you don't have a 9 to 5 job and you need to hustle to make that money. And then it's not like you have the benefits of a job sometimes have benefits, all of that. To be an entrepreneur, that is challenging. And it requires a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment to your dream. And it requires a high level of execution to be successful. So on all fronts, I've seen you grow in these areas. I'm so proud of you. I look up to you and basically what you've accomplished. So kudos to you. Before we go, real quickly, on a personal note, he and his partner Lindsay, they're having their first child. So talk about that real quick. So what are you? I'm sure I know you're excited, but talk about your excitement about being a father for the first time.
Yeah, super excited to bring in life in this world. Ultimately, I'm very scared and nervous and excited to become a father. It's me and my partner Lindsay. We are bringing a baby girl into the world, and I know that it's funny just reading books and watching movies and like all of this culture around being a dad. And ultimately, I'm trying to find the right way that I want to be a father, outside of all the books and all the stereotypes. Something that's what is a father to me, and how do I want to be the best example and father for my child. So that's what I'm finding right now. A lot of soul searching, and digging deep and falling more in love with my partner and my baby while she's still in the womb. Um, uh, yeah, it's going to be a great journey. I am mentally prepared. I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared right now, but I'm definitely getting there. And becoming financially prepared, which is also a great step into like just knowing that there's like a foundation for my child. And we are raising money, so please donate. We have a Baby Joy Fund where you can follow me on Instagram, PimpinChkn, or L12 Loftspace on Instagram and all platforms, where we have a link for you guys to donate whatever you can. And that will be going until the baby is due April 1st. So you're gonna be a little fool. I can tell you that.
Hey, real quickly, where can people find you on social media? I know you just mentioned that. Well, IG. Are you on Twitter? I don't even know you're on Twitter, but give us your IG handle, Facebook. What is it?
Yeah, I'm on all platforms. PimpinChkn, PimpinChkn. Okay, so it's chicken. It ain't chicken.
It
It's
ain't
chicken.
chicken, it's chicken.
It's chicken.
Chicken.
PimpinChkn. You can also go to my website, either L12 bookings.com or PimpinChkn at no PimpinChkn.com. So
All right, cool. Well,
live it
son,
up,
I'll never
y'all.
forget the day that you told me you were telling you mentioned it earlier, but I was, yeah, you're pimping chicken, and we just like broke out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's the name. Yeah. That was so cool. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that moment. And who would have thought? So, yes, everyone, my son is an example of perseverance and really someone who turned COVID, which was a horrible year, and really COVID changed his life. And he took something that was very negative and just really made it just flourish, made it grow, turn what was really a manure into a flower bed, basically. So I just want to say I'm proud of you, son. Love you and keep it up. So all of you, thanks for joining us. And I'm going to bring my son back for another time because we could talk forever. But to all of you who tuned in today's podcast, thanks. Please subscribe. Also go to the Brown Table 50 at YouTube and subscribe there as well. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Have a great one.
Peace.